Okay. I don't think I know what I'm doing. Of course I don't. Okay, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm waiting. Okay, so it's counting the time. So here I are, live and don't know it. Okay, we're gonna pretend that we're live. I don't know what I'm doing. Um, Always flying by the seat of my pants. So now I'm scrunching up by the um, monitor, which is in Live 13. This is Lou. It is August 17th, I believe. It is Monday, and I'm just trying something. So I've wasted a bunch of time. I feel like I should start it over because you guys are just sitting there watching me do nothing. um, I don't know. I've had a prompting lately that I should go live, but then I didn't do it. And I just decided to do it, and I don't have anything to talk about. So what I want to do, really, is to find out my top fans, I believe is what it says in the top. Like I said, I haven't chosen. I don't know anything about this live business. And so for that, I should probably do it. And what I want, well, I don't know. That could be opening a can of worms. But, different things that you'd like to talk about, you might suggest. Maybe I can concentrate long enough to cover a subject, but I doubt it because I usually flit all over the place. Meaning I travel my thoughts, and my thoughts can go everywhere. One thought triggers another thought, and then here comes another thought, and here comes a memory, and here comes, and there you go. Lost in a menagerie of stuff. But no, there's a lot of things I want to talk about, and you guys know that. Um, and if you seriously do have, without argument, you know what I'm saying? We can discuss, we can have a difference of opinion, but things that you are curious about, things that you're interested in that I might could expound on as a teacher. Yeah, who's teaching you? If you guys have been watching me for very long, you know who I are. I know I choose that expression. I choose it on purpose. I like it. And it came from a little boy who didn't know where he was. And he says, I don't know where I are. He was talking to a friend of mine, his grandmother. And I just thought it was so cute that I latched onto it, okay? So you'll hear me say that quite a bit, where I are. So I don't know how this stuff works. I feel like I need to, I think I will. I see an X. Let's see if I can do that. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Oh, guess what it is I'm streaming, and if I stop, it's just going to stream what I've done, and I feel bad about that because I wasted a good minute trying to see what's happening to me. um, I do like to kid around, and sometimes I do get quite profound. That was a little rhyme. Um, I'm not doing the best as to my spiritual growth, where I'm headed. What am I doing here? Like I've been telling you guys, we have a purpose in this life. And so we need to set about learning. And I'm not talking math and other things. English might be a good thing to learn. I mean, it's a difficult language from what I understand, but it is so important for you to be able to understand what someone else is saying. And then here's the deal. If you want to say something, you need to know how to say it so that other people understand it and don't get confused as to what you're saying. Now, that doesn't mean stop yourself from talking. We have to, we have to communicate the best we can. But it is something that's really kind of important to me. Communication is very important, and words and what they mean and how you put them out there can make a big difference in what the other person hears from you. They hear what they hear, not necessarily what you're trying to say. And it does get old. It gets old not being understood. And then treated in a certain way because you didn't understand. And then me will lash out, just like you. And there you go. We're down a road, not where we intended to be. I think something rhymed in there. I hope I'll be able to listen to this again. I deleted one of my lives. I mean, not like there's been very many. This might have been my third try or fourth, because I did a live on Facebook too. But I did delete a live by accident. I don't even remember now what the accident was, but I mean, okay, it's what it was it the first one I did, it scheduled it for 24, and we're in 25, and so it was having a hard time downloading onto one of my devices, and I figured maybe it's because there's a problem because it's scheduled for last year and not this year. So I hit delete, thinking it was just going to delete it off of that gadget. But no, it took it away from everything. So I lost that hour-long excellent visit. I mean, it was really good. I don't know if this one will be good, but I'm at least giving it a shot. Because I was about to make a video about... well, actually, I've been promising to read Acts 14, but I keep finding other things to do. And I want to get through the book of Acts. I think it's important. I don't know that, I imagine a lot of you are not interested in that. However, that is the time when the Savior was here on the earth, walking around, having experiences, choosing these disciples and teaching them and teaching the masses, and going around and healing people of their ailments, meaning the lame, the blind, the deaf, and even brought people back to life. Jesus. Okay, but now you find in Acts, Jesus is gone. He's done and left the scene. But he left a group that he started, a massive group actually, and it was growing exponentially day by day. But the point is, those apostles were able to do those same miracles. They raised somebody from the dead, a woman. Can't remember her name. It was a weird name. I want to say Nordis. But nevertheless, this woman was well loved by everyone around her. She did alms for the poor all the time. She did a lot of things for the people. And they raised her back from the dead. because of the fact that she did such good works for everybody. And she did it, or he did it, for everybody, not just her. In other words, they really wanted her back, and she was worthy. That word worthy might be kind of weird to some of you, I don't know, but it seems to me she paid some dues. She paid some great things by her alms for the poor, giving to the poor, helping people. But it was allowed. She was brought back from the dead. Now that's a trip, isn't it? So that power to act in God's name, that's the priesthood I've been talking about. Blessing your children, blessing your wife, blessing your family in their time of need. The priesthood is wonderful. And the way it's set up, yes, it's for the men, but family, that's the deal. We're supposed to be a family, a male and a female, and the male holds the priesthood, and the woman gets to be the mother and nurture her family and grow up human beings. There's no more important job in the world than to attend to your children and help them to grow up to be wonderful people. Because one day they're not going to have much to do with you. They're going to be too busy with their own lives, unless you've taught them well, unless you've given them a lot of love and they know how to give it back to you. A lot of us get caught up in the world and in our jobs and in all kinds of things, and we put our family on the back burner. And then sometimes we come home so tired and so stressed that we bark at the ones waiting for us, the ones who love us. You know, if it was an ideal situation, we'll just say, family, male and female, created he them so that they could also create human beings. But they need to be brought up in a loving home. They need to be not a happenstance. They need to be someone that was planned for. Man and woman who love each other and are committed and want to grow a family. That is what's supposed to be happening. But I'm also talking about the priesthood. Instead of the woman thinking, oh, the man gets to have that and I don't. Well, there's a difference. First of all, if you're a unit, male and female, family, then the priesthood is in your house. The priesthood is with your man. And yes, he can have blessings put on him too, but not by you. However, I will say that faith is the key to power. And so just because you're not a man, but you have great faith, you women out there who are mothers, you don't think that you can perform miracles? You can. But you have to have this great faith, belief. Now there's a difference between faith and belief, and I can't remember what it is now, but you can believe something, but then you're still not, I mean, you believe it, but you just don't know. And then there's faith, believing in something without, what's the word? I had it for a second. Faith is believing in something without the knowledge of it. In other words, once you see and you know, then you don't need faith, because then you know. Evidence, that's the word. Believing in something without evidence. Excuse me. No, I've always reserved that for God. But I guess there's another situation. I have a hard time with that. I don't believe that I should have that kind of faith in a person without evidence. Although I've been doing that for quite some time. faith precedes the miracle. And childlike faith, like the church called for just a little bit ago. I saw it. When I say the church, it would be the prophet, and it filters on down through all the people. But they're calling for childlike faith. And you do need that. The faith of a little child. Belief non-wavering. They believe in their parents, even if their parents are not good parents. They love them, and they need them. They need their love. They need their acceptance. So when I say there, I'm talking to all of you people that are parents. Your children need you, even if they act like they don't. So I'm doing something, I don't even know if it's recording. And I got the air conditioner blowing and it's making noise. I know I've been doing a lot of talking about God and Jesus and the Holy Ghost. And maybe you're tired of it. But it is a power that you can have. But first you need to be given it. The gift of the Holy Ghost. And then maybe you want to exercise it. Exercise your faith so it grows. And I'm just jabbering off the top of my head. I do want to share things with you people. And I guess I need to learn how to get organized and put some things together like in an outline. What do you want to say? So that's also what I'm saying. If you guys have specific questions that are not argumentative, and I'm talking about the scriptures. If there's a passage you want to understand, maybe I can help you. Maybe I can't, but I'll let you know one way or the other. I don't know what all the good scriptures are out there, but there's a bunch of them. And I've been telling you guys where to go and get this app. You just go to the App Store and get this app. And I wish I could see. Thank you. Someone said, yes, you are recording. Let me see if I can see who you are. Sunshine Flowers. Well, I love that name. That's sweet. So the whole thing is I've been trying to do a lot of sharing of things that I know, not necessarily things that I practice. Now, I must say that the golden rule, I practice that. I believe that we are all children of God, and we're all equal in value to God. And as my brothers and sisters, we need to love each other in a Christ-like manner. And we need to love ourselves too. That's important. And I know that gets lost. First 2 commandments, that's all we have to do anymore. Because the rest fall into place, and you should know what they are. You know, if you love the Lord thy God with all thy mind, might, and strength. And I haven't looked it up lately, but I know that honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth, I believe is maybe part of that. Maybe that's a separate one, and it is, thou shalt not have any other gods before me. That's probably part of it. You know, he's telling you to love him with all your mind, might, and strength, and not be chasing things that you are tempted with that are going to take you down the wrong path. Hopefully you can get back up out of that path, you know, but sometimes you can't. So you need to be careful. So, no, I don't go to church because I seem to cause trouble. I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut, and the church is made up of people. I've said this before, and people are all at different levels. And so here you have some people coming into the church brand new, bringing their beliefs from the religion before, and they're out in left field. They don't got a grasp. But anyway, the point is, you have to be careful what you say. I tend to be, I can't control myself sometimes. If I don't say what's on my mind at the time, I might lose it. In other words, there's a tape going on in my head, and so there's this thought, but if I don't act on it, it's over here again. And I have to wait for it to come around again. Some of you might understand that. So anyway, sometimes I interrupt people because it's like I need to say it, and I don't need to lose it. They need to hear it. and I haven't had that much trouble, really, in classes at church. But you do have to kind of control what you say, especially in a smaller, like a branch, when there's a lot less people and they get their feelings hurt, or they wear them on their shoulder. They got these kids that they're trying to make sure they don't know things. I understand. But you people need to realize you don't know it all either. And you need to open up your mind to what someone else says sometimes. I mean, I would say things and I didn't have it in my head how to prove myself, okay? And these people that knew everything, or they thought they didn't know what I was saying, but it was there. So I needed to know how to get to there. But you know, when you're in a class and everybody's being interactive, you kind of got to be careful. But at least in the class, it's an adult class, so the children are not there. But like in the meeting where everybody is and the children are, you definitely need to watch what you say. And you're supposed to kind of make it sweet and simple, not all long and drawn out and complicated, put everybody to sleep. Besides that, you're supposed to give other people a chance to talk. I'm talking about a fast testimony meeting. Anyway, thank you for letting me know it's recording. Let's see, what does it say? We're at 23 minutes and 33 seconds, or 24. Okay, see, I can't see without my glasses very good. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I keep saying that. So in my videos, I do a lot of jabbering, just talking about whatever's going through my mind. And then I need to try to not be sad. Sometimes I am. I was looking at a video earlier that was done a year ago. It was a very good video. And I went ahead and posted it on Facebook again because I believe it's worth revisiting. But during that video, there's some things that's not so good. There I am all snorting and stuff because I'm sick. I've been exposed. My Papa Bear's in a facility. My siblings have now arrived. Things are weird in the Smith household, okay? And sometimes the ones that have been helping receive a bunch of flack that they don't deserve. But how do you tell them that? You don't. And they're going through troubles of their own, meaning worrying about losing Papa Bear. But you see, Papa Bear and Mama Bear taught their little baby girl bear. Very well. I was raised in the church. I know about the plan of salvation. I know that my mother and my father know that. I mean, they've spent so much of their life, as far as being involved in the church, but I was going to say genealogy and temple work. And the reason for that is sealing families together forever. So my mom and dad have been sealed in the temple, and their children are sealed to them. Me and my brother were already alive when they went to the temple, and so we were way too young to remember any of it, but we participated in the sealing process. They were sealed together, and then their children that are alive were sealed to them. And then any children they have after that are automatically part of the covenant, is what it says, part of the covenant. What is the covenant? The covenant is a promise between you and God, or maybe you and another person, but you both have things you have to do to make it work. It's conditional. It's not just a gift that you get to keep. You have to adhere. I don't know how to say it very well, but it's like your vows when you're baptized. You're taking an oath to take on the name of Jesus Christ and to live like Him, to try your best to live like Him, and to love one another, because we all belong to the body of Christ, the church. But see, it's not just for the body of Christ, okay? You got all these members, and picture them as a body, and Jesus is the head. Okay, and so you've got all these people forming this body, and they got all these different jobs to do within that body. And one of them, this is a scary one, and you shouldn't really do it unless you're armed. But I'm talking about spreading the gospel. First, you receive, you learn, you try to understand, but you need to know what it is you're trying to teach to somebody. So you first got to know it. But you don't have to know it all in order to bear your testimony. You can feel it, and maybe you can't put the words out so someone else will listen long enough to understand. And part of it is touching their heart. Okay? When you go to church, the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and you're in those meetings, especially the sacrament meeting, if you're in tune, you're going to feel the Spirit. Even if it's a boring meeting, there's going to be something good in that meeting. But you are also there to partake of the sacrament, which is renewing your vows of baptism. And maybe it might even be, if you're with a repentant heart, maybe you feel like you might have slipped a little bit or whatever. You can have that in your heart. And you can ask for forgiveness if you need to. I'm telling myself not to cry. And I've told this story recently, but I had a friend. I worked with her, and I knew her for a while, but I had invited her to a church meeting. Actually, it was, I don't know if you would call it an event, especially since it was just like for a branch, very few people. But it was maybe a Halloween deal. I don't know. But anyway, she was there. And she told me, maybe not at that meeting, but she told me she believed. But she was afraid of falling. See, I've mentioned this recently, and the point I'm saying is there's more to what I'm trying to say. I need to get to the point big time, and that is she was afraid that once she had a brand new clean slate, she would fall and make mistakes. Well, guess what? We're all going to do that. And that's what baptism, first of all, does. But renewing your vows on Sunday and talking to the Lord and asking for forgiveness, all these things are a continual deal. So you can continually be clean, but you can get rid of all those big old sins that you got. Maybe not everybody's got them, but a lot of people do. And it's weighing them down. They feel like there's no hope, that God wouldn't want anything to do with me, and He doesn't have time for me. I mean, I've felt these things. You don't feel worthy to pray because you know that you're not doing the right things. Well, guess what? You got to realize, first of all, that God, our Father in heaven, is really your Father, and you have a mother, and He wants the best. They want the best for you, but everything's done through the man, the priesthood holder. But the woman is just as important, people. So don't ever think you're slighted. The man can't do what you do, but together, the two of you complete a family and your children that you bring into the world. But the two of you are the important parts. You begin with that. But in that plan of salvation, you want to go on into the next world and then into your world that you earned together. So I didn't get to do that. I didn't get to have that relationship throughout my life because I didn't see the importance at the time, didn't seek for it. And then once I got married, I thought, oh my God, I need to do this. And of course that didn't fly. No, people just want to keep on doing what they're doing. They don't see a need for all that stuff. And the way I was brought up, it was definitely a need for me to have my husband on board, and he certainly was not. And his family was totally different than my family. It caused problems. And I know that there's so many women out there who married outside of the church, and they get to deal with that. As long as they're together with that person, they get to deal with the fact that they don't get to go and enjoy their religion. And they're afraid to share it with their person. I mean, all these things. We went to, I was with Relief Society women, and we went out to see some people that weren't active, and I'm just, I'm just acting like that there's no problem, that I'm opening my mouth, and I'm saying, Anyway, she let us know that she believed, and that she'd love to come to church, but she could not because of her husband. So sad. So we strap ourselves to this person that does not believe the same as we do. And there you are. You do not get to fulfill yourself. And you do not get to have that relationship in church with your fella. No. You end up just staying away, which was her answer. She believed and she wanted to be there, but she could not. So very sad. Now, I could have been there, but it takes fortitude to get up, get yourself dressed, and go without your fella. Just go and do your own thing. That's what I should have done. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Maybe he might would have came along after. But, that is a thought, people, if you are in that situation. Strap on your, what do they call them, your big women panties. I don't know. There's an expression. But the point is, we need to stand up for ourselves. We need to do what's important to us. And it would be good if in the very first place you didn't marry the wrong person, because life's going to be miserable. You don't even realize it. You don't realize how important the church is to you until later. And especially if you think you're in love with that person, you want them forever. You don't want to think about, first of all, you don't want to think about dying and leaving them here. But if you know that you're working towards the same goal and you love each other and you truly believe life can be happy, even with the bad things that are going to happen. Meaning life, our loved ones dying, accidents happen, this and that, we have to figure out a way through that. And the church does help the belief that life goes on and that you can be with your loved ones. I can't talk very well. Forever and a day. Let's see, forever, always and beyond, infinity, eternal marriage. Yeah, you don't want to be stuck with the wrong person forever, and actually you wouldn't be, but it is real hard to get a divorce, a temple divorce, even under a lot of bad circumstances. So I don't like that. But the deal is, if you have a vow and you have an oath, and God's oath is that he'll seal you guys together, but if you don't live up to it, then it's actually automatically unsealed, because you have to live up to your vows. They've got my sister still married to her first husband, who did atrocities, who broke their vows. Out and out, there ain't no wondering if he did. He did. And so there she is, still stuck to him. Because the church won't give her a temple divorce? I don't understand that. Because she has already been married to someone else. And I think part of it is they think, because we're the genealogy and the temple work is putting families together on this chain. I don't quite understand it. I think of Bitcoin and the blockchain. I still don't understand that either, but it's like a bunch of puzzle pieces that fit on this chain. And they're trying to put us all together with our families on these chains. And then temple work is done for these families, these people in these families. So that's a complicated scenario. And I wouldn't necessarily want to get married in the temple unless I was totally in love with that person. And actually, you might want to add on the fact that you need to know them. You need to know who they are, not what they show you, but for reals, who are they? And are they willing to learn and grow with you? That can be reversed. You could be the man in that situation and the woman wants nothing to do with the church. That happens. Seems like it's less of a scenario, but maybe not. But it boils down to we're afraid to share and to let it be known how important it is. So important. I didn't. Okay, it's 39 minutes. I just got on here to try, okay? I know they say you should do that, and then I figured live would be like you secured a time in the future, and then you did it. So I'm learning. I do need to take some classes so I can do a much better job. So I don't go to church, but I do believe. I do. And if I had my fella, I would want to go to church with him so that he could learn. Because I have a fellow that I love, but he seems to know the scriptures very well, but I don't know that for reals yet. And that's not something we have actually shared. So that's on the horizon. We're going to share that. That is, if we make it that far. Life gets in the way. Things that are going on out of our control get in the way. But we have to make decisions. Sometimes they're pretty big decisions. Do we continue, or do we call it quits? Is it an impossible dream, or is it reality? And I guess just came to my mind, reality is what you make it, right? What is your reality? Is it a mundane life? You get up and you get ready and you go to work and you come home and then you got to fix the food and take care of the family and then you got to do the dishes and do the laundry and do this and that and the other thing and fall into bed dead tired. So how much room is left to take care of things that are going to build you up, build your relationship up? Or are you going to start to take your person for granted? Are you going to have harsh words because of the day you've had? You come home and you bring the crap you went through and you take it out on your family. That happens. And sometimes out of the frickin' blue, out of nowhere, there's a big old brawl. I'm talking about words, people. Depends on what family you're in, I guess. But I would love to have my right person. And I would love to be able to share everything that I believe with that person and have him receive it and embrace it and understand, or begin to understand, because there's so much. It helps. It helps that you know the scriptures. So, when I go to try to teach, maybe things will resonate. And you'll go, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Let's look over here. What does it say over here? I would love that. To be able to study the scriptures with your fella, or the man with the woman, the one you love and cherish and want to be with forever. Because otherwise, why are you married? I know. I got married to Joe for different reasons than I should have. Really got to the point in life where I didn't really think that I was going to have that ideal situation. And both of us were tired of going without sex. Safe sex. Go having sex with a bunch of people out there, you're going to have diseases. You're going to ruin yourself, both mentally and physically, because diseases come along. You can't have a bunch of different partners. It's not the way it's supposed to be. But yet we're out there doing it, right? Not me, but once upon a time I did. Years and years ago. I don't even want to think about those days, but the point is, there are a lot of people going through things. And sometimes we get thrown into the mix. 22 years old, having a baby, and being divorced after 6 years of marriage. And I was 17 when I got married. 22 and I had my daughter, and I might have been 23 by the time the divorce was final. I really don't know. I just know it was 6 years. But not only was it 6 years in that situation, it affected the rest of our lives. Me and Jessica did not have the best of situations at all. So, I mean, even in a loving family, which you thought you had, but you didn't, it turns out like it's, hell, because you're going through withdrawals. You're going through rejection and withdrawals, and there you are with a baby, and you want to give that baby the best, but there you are, very unhappy, very sad. And it's very hard to give happiness and love when you're not feeling it. You're brokenhearted to the max. I don't ever want to go through that again. So, that keeps people away from relationships too, because they don't want to go through that. I don't blame them. I don't want to go through that either. The love feels great, but when there's a problem, it does not feel so great. So communication is very important. So I started with the 2 commandments. Love the Lord. Love the Lord thy God with all thy mind, might, and strength. And the second is like unto it. Love thy neighbor as thyself. A second commandment is meaning love yourself too, not just your neighbor. Build yourself up, because you're here to learn. Whatever you learn in this life is going to go with you. That's the only thing that's going to go with you, because your body's going to be laying down here. And all those objects, all those things that you've collected, those beautiful, wonderful things, those luxuries and stuff, you're leaving them behind. Who's going to get them? And do they deserve them? Kind of like when I let my storage units go in Downs, 2 50-foot storage lockers full of stuff. And after paying 10 years on storage, I let it go. And so everybody around got to come and get my stuff for almost nothing. Yes, people were blessed that day. But how stupid was Mary Lou to pay storage all those years? It was hard to not keep going with that because, we're going to get there. We're going to get there soon to get our stuff. Bull crap. I don't suggest you store a bunch of stuff. You're going to find that you didn't need it in the first place. You forget you even had it. Every once in a while I'll have a memory of stuff that I had in there. But you can't take it with you, is the point. And there are things that are more important than things. You know what I mean? Feelings, relationships, and hopefully an eternal relationship. That would be so marvelous. But that's like a very far-fetched dream, to find someone who would be as committed as I am to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I've told you guys recently in videos that I've done how important that name is, Latter-day Saints. We don't even understand it. But the Church of Jesus Christ, stop right there. Everybody should be able to understand that. That's Jesus Christ's church. He is at the head of it. We are not against Jesus. We are for him. We live our lives by him. And we put up with crap because we are standing up for him. But that's what he expects. He expects you to stand for the right and for him and the light. Bring yourself into the light. Not an easy thing to do. And I'm not perfect at all. Someone gets into my face, my first reaction is to get right back into theirs. Okay, but we gotta stop that. In other words, fights just escalate. If you continue, if the energy doesn't change. Anger, anger, more anger, more anger, more anger. Anger, soft words, less anger, some more soft words. But how can we do that? I had the hardest time. So yeah, I'm really sweet, but I'm really mean too. It depends on how I'm treated. And the thing is, when Jesus said, turn the other cheek, he was trying to tell you not to sit there and get beat up, but how are you going to stop the fight if you don't? Someone has to stop it. Otherwise, it's out off the charts. Maybe the cops will be called because you're being belligerent. Oh, I know it's not funny. Joe was telling me, see, he sent me those iPhone 13, so I could use it for YouTube. Has better camera, better speaker. Anyway, so I'm using it. But he said, be careful, don't shake it because they'll call the law. Or don't be yelling. Don't be yelling because they're going to say, okay, do you want us to call 911? He said he was yelling at the TV, yelling at something. I'm going, what in the world were you doing? But it did. Ask him if the phone should call 911. So mellow out. I've been warned. Anyway, people, I know I've talked way too long. I do enjoy talking. I do enjoy my channel for the most part, and it has been therapy for me. I started it 2 years ago, July 16th, and it helps me through the day. And at points it helped me to walk because I was distracted. I'd be talking to you guys, and I'm not realizing how hard it is to do that walk. I'm just doing it. So it is a great thing. And getting your thoughts out there, that's another good thing. So once upon a time I was writing in a journal, and I'd sit down and not know what I was going to say. Very first time, 22 pages later, I had to stop because I had some other things I had to do, but I had no idea that was going to happen. I was putting my thoughts down on paper, and my thoughts were fast and furious, and so my hand is moving as fast as it'll go, trying to formulate sentences to share the word that I'm thinking, but skimming over the top of my thoughts, meaning there was so much more than I got out there on the paper. So when you're reading these scriptures, it helps if you've written in a journal. You can kind of understand a lot of things, like as in you can't put all your words down. There's not room. And then understanding, that's another story. Is someone going to understand what you're trying to say? And then in the scriptures, they're written in a certain way. They're written in phrases. And if you don't know your punctuation, you might get a little lost. And you're going to get lost anyway because these words are from so long ago. I tried reading a book on here to you guys from, someone looked it up for me. It was written in 1915. So the words, even though they were small words, they were still foreign to me. I'm going, what does that mean? And if you don't understand the meaning to the words that you're reading, then you're not getting the message. And the book was called Jesus the Christ. It was quite heavy. And I'm not talking about heavy in weight, but heavy for your head. It was wonderful, really, and I need to go back to it. I read the first 2 chapters, and I think I did read the notes. After the second chapter, there were notes to the second chapter. I don't know if I read that. I might have went back and read that. But anyway, there's wonderful things for you guys to partake of out there. And especially if you find yourself bored, you should actually do that, because you'll be doing something that will help you out. And I guess really I should probably stop. Let's see, how far have I gotten? Almost to an hour. I think that's probably plenty. I'm gonna get on here and still do a video and put on here this Acts 14. It's got a lot of verses, and I have not perused it, skimmed over it. I don't know exactly what it's talking about, but I do know we're talking about the Acts of the prophets, not the prophets, the Acts of the apostles after Jesus left. That's what the book of Acts is all about. And it's really quite interesting. You know, kind of like there's some teleportation going on. This guy's on, I'm still going to say this guy's on a bench, but it might have been talking about Cornelius. I don't know. Because this has been years ago. My daughter was 5 when I was really going crazy studying the New Testament. And I was studying all the scriptures, but I know that I spent a lot of time in the New Testament. So what's my point about that? It was just so long ago, first of all. And I've lost the thought that I wanted to share. That does happen. And yes, sometimes it'll come back around. Other times I'll have to listen to the video and I'll put it in the comments. Okay, this is what I meant. I forgot to tell you the rest of the story. But no. At this late date of my life, so I'm not saying my words quite right, but you know, so I'm not this young chicken that's out there playing and partying and living life and going through troubles and listening to my parents tell me a thing or two. I've gone through being a parent, and then gone through being a grandparent, but I haven't been with my family, so I missed out on a lot of that. Can't pick up and follow your family wherever they go unless you're going to be living in the house with them, and that you don't have to throw everything away. You know, leave your life behind that you got going on. I did that for a little while. Kind of put a stop in everything. Anyway, people, there's wonderful things to partake of. Great, 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 wonderful things. If you were to just write down some things, I don't know if it'll show up, but I have talked about a dream that I had, which I know was a vision. And it was about the Urim and Thummim. It was about how did God create a world, and how did he create all of us that are in it, and how am I going to be able to do that? Because that's the point of it all, is we are here to learn, gain knowledge, and become like our mother and father in heaven someday. Not while we're here. This is one part of our progression. Okay? Spirit world was first. Now it's this world. Next is the millennium. In the millennium, you're going to be semi-immortal. There's not going to be any more pain and suffering. There's not going to be disease. The lamb and the lion will lay down together. The lion will eat grass and not meat. I mean, there's going to be a major change in us that make it. And the world that we live on is going to go through a change too. She's going to be changed from a telestial state into a terrestrial state. And then after the millennium is over, which is 1,000 years, not sure whose thousand, but maybe it's Earth 1,000, because that would go with that scenario where I said created the earth in 6 days and on the seventh he rested, and then the correlation between the earth was here 6,000 years before the 7,000, which is the millennium, which is the day of rest. I know I'm giving you guys a whole lot of stuff to think about, and I know I need to break things down, but sometimes it's just not feasible, nor will it serve a purpose, and sometimes you just want to tell people while you can. Maybe you're listening, maybe you've already gotten off of here. And sometimes the best is saved for last, people. So those of you who are aware of me and my videos, and if you've actually watched them to the end, you'll know I might have a slow start, but something will happen. There's always something good that happens. Miracles. I've done a video called that. I might have started out with miracles. Things that's happened to me that I consider miracles. That was in the old days. I just recently had a miracle happen to me on that trip. I could see it, and it amazed me. And the Godhead left their calling card saying, hey, did you see what we did for you? I covered it on a couple of different videos, and I might have even done it on more than that because it's so special what happened. But if you go down my list, it's not all that far down, where there's a 29-minute something, and then above it is an hour and 4 minutes and something. Those two videos cover it. But it was wonderful, simply marvelous, and it's nice to be able to see and understand, hey, I was blessed. I was blessed that night. We were blessed on that whole trip, but I'm talking about miracles that happened at the Circle K. It was a trip. So yeah, I guess it's really good to get out in the world and find out that there's some interesting things happening. You do have something to talk about, something to share with the world. But the thing is, we do need to love ourselves, and we do need to not put ourselves above other people, because we're equal. And when it says in the scriptures that God is not a respecter of persons, that's what they're talking about. You got this rich guy who's used to just having everything at the drop of a hat. All he's got to do is speak and it's done. And he's got money. Okay? Then you got this poor schmuck that has had to fight for everything. But the point is, I'm going to get lost there. The point is, you got a rich person, you got a poor person, you got some people in between, you got all these different walks of life. But the children of men have, but God sees you all the same. It doesn't matter if you're rich or if you're poor, if you're in the gutter. What does matter, though, is bringing yourself out of that gutter, bringing yourself out of your situation. And if you're freaking rich and you can't be humble and know where your blessings come from and what you're supposed to do with them, some of us have so that we can share. Some of us know what it's like to go without, so we can feel for other people. And some of us know where we're going to when we leave here. You guys don't know. I know that there's a whole lot of Mormons out there, but I don't know that you're watching my channel, although you should. Because even though I'm harsh and different, You have people in your life that need me. You need me to talk to those people because you're not going to reach them, but maybe I will. You understand? Don't be afraid of my channel, and don't be afraid of what I say, even though you might not like what I say. It is for your good. It is for your children's good. It is for your mother and father's good. It is good for all of you to listen to what Mary Lou has to say. And I'm not trying to toot my little horn. I'm just trying to share with you people what I really haven't found for myself is lasting happiness, right? But if we can just get after ourselves, improving ourselves, our knowledge, our spirituality, our understanding, our relationship with the pre-existence, our Father in heaven, our Mother in heaven. You know, she's not mentioned. He protects her, just like someone I know protecting me. I mean, that is a sign of pure love, and I need to remember that. But still, I have a hard time with that. Anyway, people, I gotta shut up. I do have the tendency to just talk and talk and talk. That's the way I are. I do love you people as my brothers and sisters. It does not matter the color of your skin or your culture. However, you do. However, you must change. The church is for everyone, and the church is all over the world, doing great things all the time. And it's there for you people. Seek it out. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door will be opened unto you. Those are doors of knowledge. Yeah, that's what we're here for, to learn about good and evil. And you kind of got to go through some of that stuff in order to learn, don't you think? I see that there's another comment. I'm not good at this because I can't really see. Well, I got 2 likes, and they have crowns. I'm not really sure what that means. But thank you. I hope that you guys will stay and listen. And like it says in my description, not of this video, but of my channel, thoughts flying in the wind, hoping to be received and digested and deposited within your life. I'm trying to help. I'm not trying to do anything that will not help this world that we live in. Blessed be the day when wonderful things happen. And I guess that'll be the great and dreadful day of the Lord. You know, when the second coming happens, those of us who are worthy will be lifted up. We'll be up there with him. He's coming in the sky with all his concourses of angels, and the whole earth will see him at the same time. There will be no mistaking. It won't be, hey, he's over here. Hey, he's over here. Nuh-uh. Everyone's going to know at the same time. But what's going to also happen, the way I was taught, is, you know, those, like I said, those who are worthy will be lifted up, caught up into the sky with Jesus Christ and his concourses of angels. And then this earth is going to go through a change, and destruction is going to happen. Mountains are going to become valleys. Valleys are going to become... That's what happened in the Book of Mormon when Jesus died on the cross. Over here in America, there was mass destruction. And that's where mountains became valleys and valleys became mountains. But in the end, when Jesus comes the second time, the earth is going to be changed to where it's flat. There will be no mountains or valleys. And then all the land is going to be in one place and all the water in another. It's not going to be like it is right now. And she's going to be changed into a terrestrial world, which is so much better than what we have now. Okay? And the wicked are going to be burned as stubble. You remember that. When the second coming happens, the wicked will be burned as stubble. And what the situation is in the millennium, we're going to have I was going to say, okay, it's a little hard to explain. I was going to say 2/3 of the people. But what they said was that only the people who qualify for the terrestrial world and the celestial world will make it through the second coming. Okay, the other ones are going to be, I would say, disposed of. It's probably not funny, but you have to be pretty bad for that to happen. And then you realize, maybe you don't realize, but I've talked about it anyway, 1/3 of the host of heaven went with Satan when he was kicked out of heaven. This is the pre-existence. This is the spirit world. And Satan took 1/3 of the host of heaven with him. Those people were supposed to have been born down here. But oh no, they went with Satan, the guy with the beautiful voice and flattery and all that stuff. And what they did was they chose against coming down here and having a body. But they were kicked down here. All those spirits are here. Satan is one individual, but he's got concourses of his angels too. Plenty enough to mess with us on this earth. They're going to go to their own place, and they will have no part in the millennium. So what I'm trying to get at is the ones that will make it to the terrestrial world and the ones that will make it to the celestial world will live through the millennium. So that's a lot less people, than it could be. I don't know that that's such a great thing, but that's probably not something to be laughing about. I laugh a lot when I'm not supposed to. So I know I need to shut up. I was telling you a little bit really about the plan of salvation. There is a reason for this life. We need to attain. We need to become. We need to achieve knowledge. And I would say we need our man or our woman. We need our partner in this adventure. Because otherwise it's not worth it. I mean, that's the way I see it. If I don't have my fella, I don't have a reason. However, I do, because I know it says somewhere that if you do not find your eternal companion here on earth, but you're worthy of one, then one will be provided. I don't like that necessarily, but it is nice to know that all is not lost if you don't find your person here. If you don't join together with your person. So I don't know. We don't know what's coming. Okay, so back to the millennium. We're going to be changed. Just like the earth is changed, we're going to be changed to a semi-immortal state. And I know I probably already just said that. So we're going to go through a life where we can learn from our experiences and from work, and no stress. No stress, no temptation, no illness. And at 100 years old, we'll be changed. We'll probably go, if you're able to go to the celestial kingdom, that's probably when you will. I wish I knew what all the things said. I guess I should wear my glasses. I talk too much is what I do. Thank you very much. So, I guess I'll stop because I'm sure I've gone way overboard. There's a lot to learn, people. So much. And I know I need to get a hold of some information that I can share. In the old days, missionaries had a thing called 6 discussions. And they had certain things that they discussed. In other words, things that are important. And they looked them up in the scriptures and shared with the people. So these days, a missionary told me that they're doing things different. So I'm not really sure what they're doing, but he said they just kind of meet and talk about whatever. That's probably better than it having to be so rigid. And then having meetings with all these different people and you're at different places with them. You understand what I'm saying? So here you're studying and you're sharing. I don't know. The first discussion might have to do with Jesus, not just Jesus, but Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon, and asking him to read it. But I know one of the discussions was about the plan of salvation, and that's a biggie, real biggie. But it's the thing that lets you know the purpose in life and that you have a choice in where you're going to go. And you don't have to drown in your misery. You do not have to drown in your sins. You do not have to keep partaking of a certain environment because that's all you know. And you feel that's where you belong when you don't. None of us belong there. We all are children of the Most High God. And you want to talk about a royal heritage? People, do you understand that you can inherit the kingdom of God? Not to be your very own kingdom, but you're given your own Urim and Thummim if you make it into the celestial world, the celestial kingdom. And then you create a world with that. And you know everything with that. And I learned that from a vision. Church doesn't teach that. I know that, okay? I was studying and studying and studying. I kept coming across these different things. And I wanted to know. I mean, I prayed for a very long time, very fervently. I think I'm saying that word right, but very strong, with intent. I wanted to know, how could God create a world? And the people in it, and then the plant life, and then the animals, and all the creatures that are on this earth. How dare I ask such a question, right? But I studied and studied and studied and really wanted to know. And I prayed about it. And one night, from a deep sleep, I received a vision. And I shot straight up out of that bed because it was too much for my head to hold on to. I'm serious, people. What I found out was a lot in a very short period of time. It's amazing to me what can happen because there's no way I could have made up any of that stuff, what I experienced in that dream. It says in the scriptures that those who enter the celestial kingdom will be given a tiny white stone. Okay, so a lot of different things come into play to make me know what that is. And I didn't know all of that stuff. But I graduated, meaning I'd made it through the millennium, and I was headed into the celestial kingdom. And I was given my tiny white stone. I know I need to look up the scripture so I can reference it to you, but I've talked about the Urim and Thummim before. When that touched my hand, that little white stone, that tiny white stone, I knew everything. Everything that there was to know out in the universe was in my head. That's why I shot straight out of bed. Because I couldn't contain it. I couldn't handle it. But to this day, I remember the experience. So what I found out from my dream, my dad had an expression, you do your best, and the Lord will do the rest. So with this stone, me knowing everything, and not only that, well, I kind of lost that, but anyway, I found out that we just do our best. You do your best, and you achieve the celestial kingdom. I mean, do your best to gain knowledge too, but there's all kinds of knowledge. Knowledge from life experiences, knowledge from having a family and children that you love and you have broken hearts over, and all kinds of different things that can give you lessons. But what was the point of all that? Oh, you do your best, and the Lord will do the rest. That little white stone in my mind's eye is pre-programmed with everything you need. That stone is what you're going to create your world with. But that stone is also what makes up a seer. A seer and a revelator, the Urim and Thummim. And only a certain few people over the 6,000 years we've been here have been privy to that gift, to be able to see, to be able to translate. Joseph Smith was able to translate that golden record, the golden plates, because of the gift, a gift from God, and also because of the Urim and Thummim. Okay, he didn't have to try to figure out what all these words meant. It was given to him. I mean, I can't even pronounce the words of these towns and people and stuff, but well, that's right there in the Book of Mormon from Joseph Smith, who was only 14 and a half years old. The first vision, he was 14 and a half. And he wanted to know what church to join because there was a big revival going on and people were going nuts and they were pulling him here, there, and yon. And part of his family had already joined with one of them. And one day they were reading in the Bible. I imagine it must be in the New Testament because it was in the epistle of James. If any of ye lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not. So Joseph took himself to the woods to pray about it. First he was seized upon by this darkness, and he couldn't move. He was bound. I've been like that. I know what that feels like, to muster up everything you got to get loose from that. But see, when it was at the very last moment when he thought he was going to die, here comes this light into the woods, and inside of it was God the Father and God the Son, Jesus Christ. I imagine he was told a lot of things in that vision, but he was also told not to join any of the churches because they were churches of men. They were not his church. And unbeknownst to Joseph, because he's just a little kid, okay, he has been foreordained in heaven, in the spirit world. He was foreordained to be the prophet of the restoration, which was promised in the Bible that it's coming. Before the second coming, the truth will be restored to the earth. Well, guess what, people? It's here. Church was organized in 1830 with 6 men. I don't know about the women. Maybe there was some women too. 1836, they dedicated the first temple that they built with their own hands and with their own goods, whether it be their china or this or that. They all donated to the cause of building that temple. Within 6 years, I think it's miraculous. 1836, the Kirtland Temple was dedicated and opened. But also, the ordinances of God were available to the people, and it has to be done in the temple. That is the reason for these temples that we are building all over the place. So there's a reason for it. And it's for our salvation. It's for joining our families together, trying to seal people. The ordinances have to be done here on earth. And so there's an expression, work while you can, because the time comes when it's nighttime and you can't labor anymore. But they're talking about the fact that you no longer have a body. You have to depend on other people to do that work. So thank God there are people doing it, like my parents did. And a lot of people are working towards that goal. Genealogy, sealing families together. But first, baptism. Like I said, I was baptized for 56 people when I was a young thing. And when I said it was a mutual group, that was the young people's classes or development or whatever, things that we did, field trips, whatever, I can't remember, but mutual is the name of that. There's young men's and young women's. And we went to the temple. And a lot of us were baptized for a lot of different people. And I think it's very exciting. And I think that I understand a lot more about it than I ever did before. And I hope I can share enough with you people that you'll understand too the importance. There are things going on that you don't know. I'm not sure if that's Jake Isles' band or if it's somebody else. Have you ever lived down in the ghetto? Have you ever felt that cold wind blow? Well, if you don't know what I mean, we'll just have to stand up and scream, because there's things going on that you don't know. Words of a song. And Curtis Lowe. So I'm not sure. I think those are Jake Isles' band. So I've been on here way too long. And I want to leave you with a song. I do like to sing. And I don't claim to have any particular talent. It's so for that words pop into my head and then out comes a song. You know, things I'll be thinking about something and out comes a song that is talking exactly about what I've been thinking. And sometimes the song comes out and I don't know that it's what I've been thinking, but there are these words. And so you listen to the words as you sing them and wow, someone's been through this before. Someone knows what's happening, what's going on. But like that song, There's things going on that you don't know if you don't experience those particular things, like homelessness, starvation. I don't want to say abuse, but abuse. I mean, you can't understand the good. You can't feel how good the good is without going through hell. Okay? I'm just saying light and dark. There's there's a reason for it. And we don't like it. What was the paper I wrote? I've got 20 papers that I wrote years and years and years ago. No, one is 44 years ago. Turn on your light so you're not in the dark. I read it on here when I very first started my channel. That was what it was all about, was sharing those 20 papers. They are freestyle. They are theology. Some of it is poetry. But the words are quite tricky. I'm proud of them. And I can't really take credit for them because I know they were inspired. I was prepared with the knowledge of the English and the communication skills and all this stuff. Don't know how to explain it, but to be able to sit down and write as fast as you can go, put sentences together, sentence structure, have poetry, all that stuff, I couldn't have done that without some inspiration. So those papers were not just for me and not just me rambling on. They were inspired and they are for you people. I hope you go back and find them. If you were able to go back to the beginning, July 16th, 23. And that might be on there as 2023, because I tried looking it up and I think that's where I went wrong. I just said 23. So in the beginning, I did the years as a 2023. I'll have to look that up because I did have a hard time finding that. And that stands to reason. So I wrote a paper also called Beauty of the Rose. It's really wonderful. And especially you people that are members of the church will understand it better than the average person. But what you got to realize as you're reading that is you are the rose. Beauty of the Rose is the name of the paper. And I tell a story, I tell an analogy. One day I was out, I know, I need to shut it. But one day I'm supposed to be going out on a trip with my daughter and my boyfriend. Okay? And yes, he lived with me, so whatever. But he was a boyfriend. And they're all getting ready and he's getting all excited, you know, and here I am. I find myself in the rose bushes beside the house. They have not received any attention for so long. There's dead buds all over the place. And not just that, there's, I guess it's a morning glory. And I didn't know it was a noxious weed, but nevertheless, it had pretty flowers on it. And it was wound all around this rose bush. It took over the branches of the rose bush. And then it died and choked out things. And so when you looked at that rose bush, what you saw was dead, ugly parts. I mean, the weed, its little flowers and its little stuff all around it. And then the flowers, of course, die off, you know, unless you trim them and then more grow. But here I am, supposedly getting ready to get out of there and go have an excursion with my family. But I got caught up in that rose bush. And then what happened was I was not prepared. So I started pulling off those dead, ugly things. Guess what? I got stabbed. Then I'm bleeding because I was trying to help this rose bush. And then another thing that happened was I looked down in, and down in this rose bush was this glorious rose. But it was hidden. You couldn't see it because of all the crap that was everywhere. So all those things fit into my analogy as to trying to help somebody that might have all these bad habits, these bad and ugly parts. And they're going to be stuck with that unless someone helps them out of it. Okay? And so then if you don't go about it right and have some protection, which is what I should have had, you're going to get stabbed. They're going to be mean because they don't want your help. You understand what I'm saying? Someone who's got a really bad habit, maybe it's a meth habit, something they are not going to get out of unless someone does something. Something has to happen to intervene, because that drug will take you down and your family too. And I know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm just saying, put it in your search bar and look for Beauty of the Rose. Then I read it to you. I wrote it years ago, and then I read it to you within the last 2 years. And then I explained it to you. So that is a wonderful thing for you to go find. Beauty of the Rose. And remember, you are the rose. Every one of us is that beautiful rose hidden by our dead and ugly parts. We need to work in our vineyard, and that's another thing in the scriptures, okay? Take away the bad, ugly things and graft in something that's good. Even if you have to graft it in, cut it, tie it together with a branch. I don't know how that would correlate, but it's the same thing. And I also compare the beauty of the weed to the beauty of the rose, and also to the celestial kingdom, and the terrestrial, which is in the middle kingdom. The rose will compare to the celestial kingdom, and the celestial kingdom will compare to those weeds who have pretty little flowers, and they look nice, but pretty soon that weed is taken over and you're stuck unless someone helps you out. The church is a good thing. It's a very good thing, especially if you're searching. If you're out there searching, find a way. Even if you're just doing the studying that I've talked about, put that gospel library on your phone, your computer, your tablet, and it will read those scriptures to you a lot better than I have, because I stumble and they don't, because they've already practiced it, they know about it, say those words, which I cannot. But I love you people, and I'm gonna shut up because I know I've been on here way too long. But I have been prompted lately to do lives. And I'm talking about being prompted by a voice, or not even a voice, I'll just feel it that I should do that. So, hit and miss. I will learn. But it's not too late for anybody to learn and to accept and to be baptized. Baptism is the gateway into the celestial kingdom. But you have to be baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You see, if you'd listened to any of my other videos recently, then you'll know that when Jesus was here and John the Baptist was baptizing and then the apostles were baptizing and all that stuff, well, they were joining the church. And the members of the church in Jesus' day were called saints. So doesn't it stand to reason that now we're in the last days of this earth, the latter days, that the members of the church are called saints, just like in Jesus' time? That makes so much more sense to me when I read that. And I read it probably pretty recently, reading in the New Testament. They're called saints. Not these people that we've named saints, but every member of the church trying to live their life like Jesus and striving for a particular goal. Exaltation. That's what I want. Exaltation with my fellow. But you can't do it alone. You have to have your counterpart, as they call him. So there you are. Quite a conundrum. So I need to get busy. But that is what I'm trying to do with my channel. I'm trying to fulfill what I'm supposed to do. Because I was told in a patriarchal blessing that the same spirit which was upon Joseph Smith when he translated those golden plates, I will have that same spirit when I teach the Book of Mormon, which is those golden plates. You know, picture the golden plates, and then picture, after it's translated, that book is the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ. Okay? We're not against God. We're not against Jesus at all. We live our life by it, by them. We just have more knowledge. But it's here for you. All you got to do is seek for it, knock on that door, let the door be opened unto you, and start your journey of learning. Just as well get on board before later, you know. It's like I said, those of them who have been doing it for a long time are far advanced. And I was talking really about Jesus and God, because they've already achieved Godhood. And that's what we are seeking after, is to become like God, which is mother and father, not just man. And I wrote that in a paper too. I said, I know that God is great, and I am sure that he has a mate. You don't think that he had all these children by himself, do you? No, the template has been set. The example has been set. We just, a lot of us don't know about it. So open up your eyes and your ears and listen to Mary Lou, trying to give you a clue. And I do love to rhyme. So I'm going to go, and thank you very much for giving me your time. I appreciate it. How do I get out of here? I don't know. Okay, so if I hit the X, what happens? I think that would be, I don't want it to go away, I just need it to stop. All right, let me just put my glasses on and make sure what I'm doing. Okay. I'm not really seeing a place to stop, and I see this X up there. I just don't want it deleted. Okay, I want to message you. How do I do that? So far away, Chat filter top messages, community moderation. I don't know what that means. So if I hit that X, it might be that we're going to leave. Yes, I know. I should know what I'm doing, but I don't. But I am appreciative. Okay, I see Sigma's Casino said hi. So I'm trying to say hi, but I don't know quite how, so I'm going to say it this way. And Linda the Queen said hey, and then nice video, thank you. And then the very first one was Sunshine Flowers. It says, yes, you're recording. And it says, hi, Lou. So that is so sweet. I guess what I'm going to do is try to hit this X, but I just don't want it to go away. I don't know quite how to stop. Do, 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 do. Hey, hey, you're so far away. Hey. Okay, so if I hit that X, you guys are going to disappear. And that's what I'm trying to do. I just don't want to delete it. I'm not sure what I should do. Maybe I should hit this other thing. There's an arrow pointing down. Community guidelines, learn more. Doggone it, people. I love you. Thank you very much for the comments. I do appreciate it. Now if I just don't mess up and delete it by accident. We got us a message thingy over here. What does that say? Chat filter top messages, community moderation. Just really don't know. And if I hit this arrow that points down, what's it gonna do? Let's try it. Huh. I don't know what it means. And then there's one that's like a thing, you know, the big thing that the people who are doing a scene and they say stop or they say action. There's one of those things. So maybe that means stop. I'm going to try it. A 49-second short was uploaded to your channel. Okay, cool. Let me see. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to hit the X, people, and hope that I don't lose the video. I just need to figure out how to stop it. Are you sure you want to stop streaming?